Hello, everyone, and welcome to some more horrific news. Okay, this is an interview, so I think it's a transcribed interview, which should be interesting. I've never done one of these before, but I've clicked on it now, so I may as well take a look. The company that brought Resident Evil back to PC wants to resurrect more Capcom classics. We have worked very closely with Capcom, and our relationship definitely grew in the process. Last month, the digital distributor GOG surprised everyone when it announced it was bringing the original Resident Evil trilogy back to PC, after years of the games being difficult to find and play on modern PCs. For the Polish company that often cites commercial preservation as one of its primary aims, it was a major win, giving old and new players an easy way to officially acquire the uncut versions of the survival horror classics. However, it has also got people wondering what exactly went into bringing them back, and perhaps more interestingly, whether we'll see any more classic Capcom titles coming into GOG in the future. So, earlier this month, Time Extension reached out to GOG and put some questions to Marcin Pazinski, the senior business development manager at the company, to learn more about the company identifies its preservation projects and to try to tease out as much information as we could about the company's future plans. Let's start with the incredible Resident Evil news. I'm wondering how long has GOG been speaking to Capcom about bringing the original Resident Evil trilogy back to PC? What made Resident Evil a perfect candidate to bring back to the storefront? Talking to the publisher is almost always the trickiest part of such re-releases. With Capcom, we started our conversations back in 2022, but it's not the first time we tried to bring those games to GOG. Usually the way we select those titles is our community wishlist. We look at what our community really wants, what they vote for. It really matters to us. Once we select those desired titles, we evaluate their state. The original Resident Evil trilogy wasn't available up until now anywhere. The very source of one of those popular franchises, games that shaped the entire genre. Childhood memories of so many people, simply gone, impossible to access again. Of course, there's enthusiasts that collect old consoles, do emulations, etc., but we're talking about general easy access to the game, for everyone, for future generations that couldn't enjoy it on the release. These kind of situations combined with community's voice are ones that shape perfect candidates for GOG. They are the core of our mission. What were some of the major challenges that bring these games back to modern machines? Is there anything you wish you could have done for the re-release, but couldn't? A lot of factors play a part in bringing a game back. Sometimes it's extremely difficult to find out who's the owner of the game's rights. Sometimes we have a hard time convincing publishers that it's actually worth doing. Once we get the work on the build itself though, we're extremely lucky to have an amazing team of tech magicians on board. Some of them have over 15 years of experience in game preservation projects, making them compatible with modern systems, getting rid of DRM, adding modern controller support, achievements, and upscaling the graphics quality. It's our thing. It's what we do best. I wish they had fixed the combat in Resident Evil. If you saw on the screen where I played the original Resident Evil game that they put out, oh my god, when you go to do combat, it is so frustrating. And then remembered, it's exactly like the console was. It was just as bad there as well. I'll be talking about that. People are laughing at me when I was playing it, just like I was proper getting wound up. Oh dear. And the static camera view that started off, obviously over the shoulder camera or point of view wasn't even a thing. Like Resident Evil was the one, like I said, that pioneered it. But oh my god, that is so frustrating. So maybe it is a good idea that people get to experience it and know how games ended up where they are today. So if you complain about bad gameplay, then yeah, go back in time. Anyway, let's carry on with the article. When it comes to Resident Evil's re-release, we couldn't have been happier how it came to life. A lot of people are wondering whether these Resident Evil re-releases might open up the door for other Capcom games to come to GOG, like Dino Crisis 1 and 2. Have you had any discussions with Capcom about making these games available again? Is there anything you can share? While we can't disclose any details regarding our future plans, one thing we can say for sure, with the release of Resident Evil, we worked very closely with Capcom, and our relationship definitely grew in the process. Combined with such overwhelmingly positive reactions from the community, we will surely do our best to bring even more Capcom classics to the table, so keep your fingers crossed. Of course, these 3 Resident Evil games aren't the only titles you've made commercially available again this year after a long absence. This past March, GOG was also involved with the return of Alpha Protocol to PC 5 years after it was removed for licensing issues. Could you give us some insight into GOG's involvement in bringing that game back to PC? Were you the instigators there, or did Sega approach you? Publishers hardly ever reach out to us for a re-release. It's us selecting games, getting contacts, initiating, convincing. With Alpha Protocol 2, it was indeed us who approached Sega with this project, and once we convinced them that we're the right partner for it, we were met with an incredible enthusiasm from their side. They supported us all the way through, took care of licensing issues. They also got us access to the source code, which we rarely have an opportunity to work on. After everything was confirmed, our involvement meant preparing the build, making a playable game, getting rid of the DRM, fixing some bugs, and adding all the quality of life improvements, controllers, and achievement support, you name it. Overall, we couldn't be more grateful for Sega's support and involvement. It was an amazing experience. Are there any more surprises you have in store for us this year? Can you give us any teases of what's to come? While we can't say anything up front, you can be sure this is going to be an exciting year for GOG. We could definitely tease you to be particularly vigilant around the time of our Sweet 16 anniversary. How do you measure the success of the preservation work that you're doing? Is it purely sales driven? When a game gets released, that's a success for us, because that means it's preserved. It's now available again, can be downloaded alongside offline installers, and play it DRM free, hassle free, and on modern systems. There is of course the sales aspect, which is extremely important. We're a company like every other. We need profit in order to exist and continue our preservation work, but you can be certain if we manage to rescue a game, that's success. That's our mission, and that's the reason we exist. For me personally, I love reading comments on our forum from people who are happy to be able to play this game again. And lastly, why do you think it's important that these games be readily available DRM free? I think this goes for all games, not only the classics we bring back. In the era of subscriptions and licenses, it's nearly impossible to own a piece of media. Remember times when we could just put video games on our shelves and boxes? Nowadays, someone can just come in and snatch those boxes from your shelf, and no one can do anything about it, except when there's no DRM. You buy something without DRM, and it gives you a true sense of ownership, the freedom of it. You don't need an internet connection. You can store offline installers on external hard drives. You can do whatever you want. Nothing is really preserved if it has DRM on it. That's why we're so committed to releasing all our games DRM free, both popular AAA titles and re-released classics. And that is it. DRM is digital rights management, the use of technology to control and manage access to copyrighted material. Right, that makes sense. Yeah, there's a whole discussion going on at the moment in the gaming space. Basically, you sign up to a platform and you buy, but you don't actually own anything. And then they change their terms of service, and especially with this culture war nonsense, and it seems to be really bad in gaming. There's a bunch of absolute idiots just making it about anything but the game. And then they're using terms of services companies to cancel people, and you buy something and then you don't own it. I'm old school. Like I said, you bought the disc, you bought the card, and that was it. You bought your cartridge, you owned it. It was up to you what you did with it. Today, it's handy in one aspect. Like, I don't own a console right now because I don't have the time to commit. Playing a game, as you know, is a massive time commitment. And when I do streams, it's the odd here and there, and I'll do like a 2-3 hour stream, but it mightn't be like a month before I get back to do another one. And you're not just jumping on and playing for half an hour. Like, even when you're just doing a stream, it's a 2 hour, 3 hour stream at minimum when you're playing a game. And that's not even getting anywhere remotely. Like, how many hours have I put into Alien Isolation at the moment? I don't think I'm even halfway through the game. What have I had? About 2 or 3 sessions? There's about 9 hours of gameplay there, and I still haven't, nowhere near completion of it. Path of Exile, how many bloody sessions that thing did I have? And I still wasn't, what was it, stage 4 of 10? So playing a game is a massive commitment. So if you think you're going to get hassled from subscription services saying, right, basically, yeah, you don't own this anymore, or you can only install it and play it through our platform, so if we cancel your subscription, any money you've spent is void, that's going to put people off. An interesting question about why preserve these things. Well, these are modern art, believe it or not. Gaming has been around like since the BBC computer. That's my earliest example. First console being the Atari. Gaming has been around almost as long as I've been alive, and I've watched the whole progression. Like, my first personal computer was a Spectrum 48K. Look that one up and laugh. Oh dear. But yeah, it's like old film or old photographs. It's part of our history. Like, it is part of culture, it's part of history, these games. So yeah, preserving them is valuable because it's good to look back. It's good to see how we got there. Also, how technology, programming, graphics, everything, how storytelling in games, like Resident Evil was the first attempt to do like a full storyboard, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. But this game really did change everything. You can't overestimate how culturally significant this game was. If you also want to laugh, you can check out I Got This, and I played it. And like I said, if you want to have a laugh, check out the stream, and you just watch me getting more and more wound up. Especially when you've got like a big huge knife at a zombie and you can't stab the zombie because the gameplay mechanics don't let you do it. And then you're trying to walk along a corridor, and because it's fixed camera, you're walking backwards 1 minute, and then you jump into another section, and then you have to walk backwards to walk forwards. It's frustrating, maddening as hell. But everything has to start somewhere, and I think it's a good experience to show it and give people a chance to pick it up. And companies like this, I think, is doing a good job. They've got a good business model here. They're going and they're picking games that basically people want, so they're customer driven. That's what I'm seeing on the surface anyway. They're not picking random games. They're not changing the games either. They're not updating it for quotation marks modern audiences. They're showing the game as it is and letting you have the experience of it. So that's cool. So there you go. Let me know what you think. What game would you like to see them bring out next? And do you agree that this is a good thing, or do you have other opinions on it? Anyway, let me know. And until next time, keep updated with the channel. Do the typey clicky things. And remember to keep it creepy. Keep it horrific.